I watched the first episode of Death Note. Yeah, it was very good first episode. You know, it's like how do you say, like a very big promise of uh like a big debate. The big conflict of if what is going to happen. It's going to be good or bad for the protagonist who is like uh, already getting the Death Note, and with that, he already started writing a lot of people who needed to die in few days, which I felt that was very rushed. But of course, it just shows how strange that protagonist is, and something that really blew me away that I really like is that the death creature. I forget his name. Well, that guy, he simply said that he gave away the death note to the human world just because he was bored. It was like, I mean, I think that is the best answer he could have given. Uh, it's like, yep, that is the only right answer of why he did that. Yeah, I don't know. I just like that tiny detail, but it means a lot of how boredom can cause a lot of things like that, for better or for worse. And it seems like the human protagonist is like, oh, I'm also going to be doing this because of boredom, but I don't know. I just think that the dead creature, uh, his answer was more believable. Of yeah, I'm bored. So yep, it looks very. I don't know. Uh, I want to get the right word. I guess it's going to be very conflictive. That's the word. Yep, it's going to be a very conflictive TV show. Anime, as people say, Death Note. I watched it in its original audio, which is Japanese, and with Spanish subtitles. I wasn't able to find it in English subtitles, but I know Spanish, so I'm going to watch the rest of the TV show in Japanese audio and Spanish subtitles, Latin American Spanish subtitles. I watched the second episode of Death Note. Uh, yeah, I mean, it was a very good second episode. Like, of course, everything so weird happening, of too many criminals dying, most of them dying with a heart attack. So, of course, the international police, the Interpol is like, yeah, we need to really search of why is that happening. It very likely who is doing that. And yeah, like surprisingly, the it is like now the protagonist light. Well, he's now being known as Kira by the public. He's now being like the most searched criminal ever, ironically or not. And now there's like the world's best detective, which his name is L, and he was able to find some very big clues of who can be Kira. At least he revealed that Kira is in Japan, specifically in a very uh, Kanto, I think that's the name of the region in Japan, and also like he cannot kill criminals unless he has actually watched them and know their names. So that is like, oh yeah, like now there's another guy who's going to be stopping the world's most famous criminal at the moment, who is Kira. Now L is going to be the Kira stopper, if that's the way to say it. I don't know. It's just like very good second episode. Very nice second episode.
I watched episode 3 of Death Note. Um, yeah, it's progressing very good, and you know, L, who was able to deduce that Kira is a student, that was interesting, and then Kira like trying to cause deaths in 1 hour per day, no, every hour of the day, 23 deaths every day. I mean, things are getting interesting, and I was left with that hook of Ryuk offering the eyes of Shinigami to Kira, but Kira has to give away half of his life, so that's interesting. I watched episode 4 of Death Note. Um, yeah, it's like I think I'm finding like the pattern of maybe how most episodes are going to be like. Is like L suggesting things with the police of, maybe Kira can be this or that. And then Kira's like, oh yeah, let me do something that is going to make me get away from suspicious of the police and L. And at the same time, find something that is going to make me get closer to L and maybe eliminate him. Yep. Also, I would like that there's like experiments of what is possible and impossible for the Death Note to do. For example, he tried like one Japanese prisoner going to die in Paris in less than an hour, and of course that was impossible to happen. So the prisoner died with a heart attack, as the other victims who died without any specifications of their deaths in the Death Note. So, yep, you're finding a lot of rules. I think that's the big thing about this anime. It's like episode by episode, you're finding the rules of that world. So maybe that's why people say it's like the best anime ever, especially if you, for as an introduction to anime. I watched episode 5 of Death Note. Uh, yeah, it's just like I'm just realizing that I think it's a little bit like I'm just realizing, how erroneous, what mistake is Kira making about going on with his lifestyle as the new god of his world. Like, what do I mean by that? It's like, first of all, I don't like, suddenly he's saying like, oh, I'm going to become the new god, of this world. I'm like, oh, nah, yeah, I think Kira is already doing bad, obviously. Second is like, I think if he really, really wanted to succeed his, uh, with his lifestyle of eliminating people, he shouldn't be caring about L. I think he could have been continuing like anonymously, eliminating all the criminals in the world. But I just realized how big his ego is. Light Yagami or Kira's ego. It's like, oh, I want to be the only one who is able to judge and punish the criminals. So yeah, it took me some episodes to realize that. Yeah, another big thing here is just how it's almost being revealed who is going to be L. I mean, I know in the anime intro L is visible, but in the narrative, it seems like, oh, now there's like six guys from the police department who are going to actually work in the case. I don't know, like I think Kira has already made too many mistakes that obviously by the end of that anime series he's going to be exposed, And L, I guess, he's a little bit nicer, but yeah, I think some bad things are going to happen for the rest of the show. I don't know what else to say, but that I think they are going to keep making mistakes. Those guys. I watched episode 6 of Death Note. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of going what I'm thinking about. Like, yep, Kira is now really realizing how bad that move was of going to the bus and planning the killer. Well, I think it was the wife or else the girlfriend of the Rainpember FBI detective. She's like, oh, I think I have very good suspicion of what can be, what can be about Kira. And also, it was very cool to finally see Ale revealing his face to like Jagami's father and his team. So it is very interesting, like of what's how things are going to be going on for the next episodes of Death Note. So I don't know what else to say. Just that, like, I'm very suspicious if Kira is going to kill, the woman of the FBI detective who died. I'm wouldn't be surprised if he does that. So, yep, things are getting more and more intense for this very peculiar anime. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, like the USA and other countries are maybe not so much interested to keep chasing Kira, only the Japanese. So let's see what happens. I watched Death Note episode 7. Yeah, I think that's the best episode I have watched so far. Like the one with most tension, I was like, oh yeah, the Kira is really, really, really wanting to kill Naomi. I think, yeah, I guess this is like the best episode I have watched so far of this anime. Um, what else I have to say? Yeah, it's like also I like this one. It just simply shows what a bad guy Kira actually is. Sadly, you know, and well, I guess I'm more supporting the police and L in this TV show so far. Thank you for listening. Watch episode 8 of Death Note, and yep, another interesting episode where now you see Ale trying to put a lot of cameras inside Kira's room, and well, of course, Kira's very smart. Now, this is there to say interesting because previous episode I complained that Kira is being unethical. He's being unethical, but also either to say this episode, L and the police team are now the ones committing unethical things. Invading the privacy of Kira and the family. So both sides are wrong. Watch episode 9 of Death Note. I mean, it was, yeah, I have to admit, it was breathtaking to see El presenting himself to Kira, when they were like in the celebration of new university students. I just find it like funny how he was crazy, was like laughing like a crazy man in his room when he was like realizing that maybe he did a brilliant move of revealing himself, and now it's going to be hard for Kira to get rid of him. It's going to take a lot to be able to defeat for Kira to defeat L, or also L to defeat Kira. So let's see what is going to happen. But I'm happy that they got rid of the microphones and the cameras in the room because that was being unethical, in my opinion. I watched episode 10 of Death Note, and I mean, it makes me laugh how it's like Kira is now getting desperate of Ale not finding out that he's Kira. He's like, oh yeah, we're socializing. Oh, I'm going to help you to find Kira, and Elle is still like, yeah, you still have like at least 1% of probability that you're Kira, and like Kira is now like, oh no, I need to find a way so Elle doesn't stop. Well, Elle stops suspecting me. But yeah, also it's a little bit sad that the father got a heart attack. But well, he was very stressed and very tired, I guess. I watched episode 11 of Death Note. I'm surprised. Well, yeah, surprised in a bad way, I dare to say. Like suddenly, oh no, now there's Kira becoming crazy and more evil because that Kira killed, innocent people without thinking twice. And then, of course, you just find out of that there is a second Kira. And I'm like, no, it's like, no, I just wanted to become a thing between Light Yagami and L. But now there's this third character, the second Kira, a woman who's like, oh, I'm more powerful now that I have the eyes of Shinigami. And it's like, oh, I guess that's the way this anime reaches a lot of more episodes, like more than 30 episodes instead of just becoming something of 25 or only 20 episodes. Um, yeah, I feel like I think this is like the weird thing of anime that I'm still trying to get used to is like suddenly new characters are introduced after some episodes. Like, oh, why suddenly there's now this new character who's going to steal a lot of protagonism? I think it happened to me with Asuka in Evangelion. In Cowboy Bebop, I think it was like nice, slowly and steady. Of the first new character is this dog. The second new character is Faye Valentine. Like, I mean, it just feels like more natural. Cowboy Bebop introducing new characters, but now Evangelion, and in this case Death Note, it has like, oh no, we need to make more episodes. We need to make the narrative longer. Okay, let's introduce this new powerful character, and well, hopefully it makes things much better for this anime. I watched episode 12 of Death Note. I mean, well, I guess I don't know. I'm not like the world's biggest fan of this new character introduced. I guess they want to make things more complex than they are. Well, this woman who has now the Death Note, and supposedly she has Shinigami eyes, and also like her Death Angel, like telling her of a death creature. Sorry, I forget the exact name of that creature that are from the death world, whatever. Well, the point is that I guess, interesting just to see, like, oh yeah, there is what that was this death creature who saved your life, and now I'm going to give you his or her or its death note, and do whatever you want. Uh, like, I don't know. I thought they were smarter, like those death creatures and those human beings. I don't know. I'm just having too much uncertainty of if this is good for the experience of this anime. I watched episode 13 of Death Note. I mean, you can arguably say this is like jumping the shark. If you don't know that TV term, it means when like the TV show bets for a higher and risky element of the TV show. In this case, is like this new character. I forget her name, but I'm gonna call her the lady with the death note. Okay, well, in this episode it happened this that the lady with the death note find out Light Yagami is Kira, and
Then she went to his house and she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be your follower and do whatever you want, absolutely anything you want, because you were able to kill the criminal who killed my parents. So, you know, I'm going to be anything you want." I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I'm still way too suspicious about her. Like, I think, I'm like, no, I don't want this character to be here. I want it to be only Light and L. Like, I just find it funny how I forgot that literally Light, Yagami, and L were like in the biggest battle of the century, and they were like, especially Light, who was like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you, L, very soon," and now he's like, I almost feel like he forgot that his life purpose, his life goal was to eliminate L, but now he's like, "Oh, yeah, now I have this woman who is going to help me to become the new gods, or to conquer the world." I don't know.
I watched episode 14 of Death Note. Yep. This is in its own way becoming like a rom-com. Like, yeah, I don't like that, but well, I mean, I think it's getting like interesting in the sense that now there's a second person with the Death Note and with the Shinigami, and I'm like, I'm not surprised after this there's going to be a third person with a Death Note and a Shinigami, and then a fourth one, and maybe the entire universe is going to have Death Notes and Shinigamis, and well, I'm exaggerating, but this episode pretty much is just like Misa, I think that's the name of the woman with the Death Note, and Light getting along, like making sure. Oh yeah, and funny enough, like Ale knows how easily the both Kiras are now working together. So yeah, what's next? I watched episode 15 of Death Note. Um, yep, very interesting. So I'm like, I mean, what it makes me laugh is like I'm trying to like the characters, but they make so many bad things, evil things that I'm like, no, why do you do that? Like, so very unethical on human things. Like, for example, of course, there is Kira killing all these people, and become very egotistical, narcissistic in some sense. Misa, who's very like how you say, like very uncontrollable, very either to say explosive, like for example she killed many innocent people in the television station. And now sadly I was like, maybe L, he's the nicer one, but I feel like he also does the very evil things, like spying, putting cameras in Light Yagami's room, but also like now this time you can arguably say that he kidnapped Misa and he tortured her. I dare to say like what he did was kidnapping and torture. And it's like, no, why everything has to be like that? It's like war is not the answer. Like it's like I'm not liking this war and nobody's winning, and I was like not surprised if things get worse and worse with every single character of this anime Death Note. But yeah, it's like no, I just want this tragedy to finish as soon as possible or in the least painful way. This is becoming too much for me. Watch episode 16 of Death Note, and well, this is like weird in the sense like you could arguably say it's like the end of the first half of Death Note, because it's like, okay, Ale kidnap and torture Misa, and now the same case is happening to Light Yagami. And well, Light Yagami's father, he voluntarily give himself gave himself to also become locked in a cell. Like, okay,
And I guess it's like I just found it very funny, like the strategy usually between L and Light to get closer to each other is like given like the hook of revealing that they actually are the person that they think they are, but because it is not in the easiest way possible, in the nicest way possible for the opponent to reveal deadly moves. It's like, oh no, I cannot do that. Well, the point is that this episode got interesting in the sense that, okay, Misa already have to gave up her Death Note, and now Light has had to give up his own Death Note, and now it's like, what? Okay, now this TV show is called Death Note, but now this episode ends with nobody having a Death Note. I guess the next episode or the next episode are going to like to show a return of the Death Notes, maybe, So yeah, technically this is going to be like a reboot inside of the anime. Yeah, I'm just like this is making me think too much in a good way. I watched episode 17 of Death Note, and well, yep, it's what I thought. You can actually say it's like the end of the first version of Death Note. You can say this is like a reboot. It's funny of like, oh yeah, Light Yagami, and he was, in some sense proved to be innocent, even though he is not innocent of being Kira. And then Misa is like, okay, man, you're still suspicious of being second Kira, but not so bad, not so, as I thought, L, it's now thinking that. And yeah, like the last seconds of this episode, I was like, oh, wait, what is going on there? And you find out like the executives of that Japanese company were like, oh, who are we going to be eliminating now? And now and the Shinigami, I think it's Rem. Well, the Shinigami who used to be the guide of Misa, that guy's like, oh no, humans are evil, and it's like no. Ugh. I don't know why those guys now suddenly know about the Death Note. The executive guys, they should have never known about that. It's like, I mean, no, what is going to be next is it's just making me know why things have to be so complicated. Why, no, why cannot there be peace and love and life? It's only hate and war and death. And in this anime named Death Note, obviously, I think there's more death than note in Death Note so far. I watched episode 18 of Death Note, and well, it's like becoming. I don't want to be negative, but it's becoming like a little bit. How do you say, like going backwards in some sense? Like it's like now it's about Light and L getting used to the new changes, finding out this new group of people who are becoming the new Kira. It's like, oh no, it's like, that's why I say previously that it felt like a reboot of this this anime. I'm just like getting freaked out of, oh no, what is going to be next? And yeah, like I don't know. Maybe I think this is like a detour of everything that was happening between L and Light Yagami, you know, uh, which I feel like a little bit uncomfortable. Like this anime could have been done then with less episodes, but well, I'm not the person in charge of this anime. But yeah, also strange, like how Light and L uh, got into a fight, and it was interesting. Something that I appreciate is suddenly L, he was like very sad, depressed of, oh no, I didn't achieve of having enough evidence, having the proof that Light is Kira. So yep, I mean, you find even if I complain about these very recent episodes, I feel like well, at least there's interesting things that don't make me hate or dislike these new episodes. I think that, I guess, if everything goes right, I'm going to be even more impressed and appreciate more these recent episodes. I watched episode 19 of Death Note, and I mean, one more time I have to say it, this is like a weird transition from you know light Yagami and Ale fight, and also Misa, who I'm like getting now that I'm reflecting about the previous episodes and now where we are, it's like one thing that I must admit is that I missed the Shinigami of Light Yagami. I must admit I forgot his name. I think it's Ryuk. But Light Yagami's Shinigami, that evil, well, not evil, but death spirit character. That was a very cool character. I wish he was in every single episode. Also, like Misa's death creature, he or she was very cool. I don't know what's the pronoun for the, especially for Misa's death creature. Now this is like, now this feels like more like a police drama series. In this case, it's like Ale and Light's father, and even Misa and Matsuda. In this case, they're like, we need to search and prove that Yatsuba, this corporation, is committing crimes with the power of Kira. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know if this drastic change of who has the Death Note is going to make things more interesting or the things better, but well, I guess I must keep watching and find out what's next for this anime. I watched episode 20 of Death Note. What I have to say is, what can I say? I think it was like okay, but more like not okay. I mean, it just feels so weird how things are going from the beginning to now. It just feels like, yeah, this anime should have been like, because of course I know this is like, the Death Note is like 38 episodes. I feel like, yeah, it could have been much better if it was like only 26 episodes or 30 episodes at most. Nah, I don't know, like, it just feels this is becoming a little too long than I like. Well, this episode was more like discussing Ale and Light about what should be doing to catch the 7 members of Jatsuba. Like, they kind of got enough evidence with the camera and microphone of they know Kira, they want to kill people in the benefit of the company. But it's like, it's a police drama now, and it's weird because it's like, well, we're forgetting every single detail. Well, not every single detail, but many important details from the previous episodes. The first like 16, 17, or 18 episodes. And now we need to focus on defeating the Jotsuba guys. Watch episode 21 of Death Note. I mean, I guess it was fine. But I didn't love it. But well, yeah, pretty much it was like Ram, that the death creature, that one of Misa, he or she or whatever pronouns that creature is, was able to put a piece of paper from the Death Note into Misa's hand, and then suddenly, oh yeah, Misa's like, who are you? And then Ram is like, I'm Ram, and you were Kira before, the second Kira. and Light Yagami, all that stuff, and suddenly it's like, it's going back on track. Oh, now we need to, eliminate the current Kira, who's very bad and pathetic and, not so cool. And I don't know. I just find it like things are getting way too biased. If that's like, I'm not liking too much the intervention of the death creatures, um, with in the benefit of Misa and Light and all of that. It's like, I don't know if at the end of the anime Death Note it's going to be revealed why is very, why those death gods, as they like to call themselves, they are very interested in the participation of humans, preferably Misa and Light Yagami so far. Yeah, I'm still disappointed that Ryuk, Light Yagami's first Shinigami, he's still not back. I like to call it. I like to call those people death creatures instead of death gods. I don't know. If they were actually gods, they wouldn't be doing stuff like that. Yeah, this is a very strong statement about that situation. So don't be surprised if I still keep calling them dead creatures. I don't think I have anything more to say for this episode. So yep, I don't know what's next. I watched episode 22 of Death Note. Yep. So pretty much the team, Ale, Light Yagami, and Misa, and those guys, they are getting closer, little by little they are getting into the new Kira, Kiguchi, and I guess everything's working out good for them. I'm sorry if I'm being way too repetitive and too complaining about this, but I still find it so weird how this anime has evolved. From the first episodes, it was like a very serious, dramatic battle between, well, Light as the new Kira, and then L trying to get Kira. What I like from the first 15 to 20 episodes, it was very intimate in some sense, very serious, dramatic, of how things are going to be between the person who has the power, well, the superpower, and the person who has the power to stop that superpower. It was like a very, very serious battle. And suddenly it was like, nope, let's move away from that topic and move into those two guys working together and changing everything that was thinking about. And as I told you, like, I have way too many questions about Ryuk. The Light Yagami's first Shinigami is like, what is he doing now? Is he in a vacation? Is he, I don't know, doing a PhD of human science? That's the thing with this anime. Like, yeah, very cool. Now they're doing this, but everything that they have been doing before, what is happening? I watched episode 23 of Death Note. Yeah, it was a very cool action sequence, action chase episode. Pretty much it was the plan of getting Higuchi arrested. So Higuchi is watching the TV. The guy Matsuda, he's thinking that guy Matsuda is it's giving away his secret identity as Kira. So he's going to that studio. But yeah, Light Yagami and Ryusaki, L, and everyone else in the team, they making the plan correctly to catch Kikuchi. It was like a very good, as I told you, a very good action episode. But still, I'm still thinking a lot about like plot holes that maybe they're going to be answering the next episodes, or else I'm going to be very disappointed. Like, I'm just realizing that one big plot hole is that how and why did the Death Note ended up with that guy Higuchi? Like, I remember, Light Yagami and Misa quitting the Death Note, And then, of course, Ram and Ryuk, they left. Ryuk is not here anymore, but Ram suddenly is now with that Higuchi. And I'm like, why, out of all the people on planet Earth, that guy, Higuchi, who isn't that nice and who is like pathetic, rude, cruel, that guy, how did he end up with the Death Note? Like, I still don't understand that. So maybe in the next episode where I think he got arrested, he's going to be telling all the information about that, how did he got the Death Note. So yeah, I watched episode 24 of Death Note, and yep, it was what I thought. It was like an episode that solved a lot of questions that I had of where was Ryuk, why the Death Note was given to Higuchi, uh, how were things going to come back, like why everything that was happening in the previous episodes suddenly got thrown away. But now this time it's like, it was a little detour that now Light Yagami is coming stronger than ever to become Kira and get the help of second Kira. I think so. But yep, okay, things are getting good. I mean, I mean, in narrative sense, in morality sense, yeah, things are getting worse and more evil. So yeah, I congratulate this episode because it was very, very good. It solved many plot holes from the previous episodes that I had. But yeah, I have to admit that maybe now I'm back with bigger interest of what is going next. I'm just like thinking of maybe finally L or Ryusuke. I think that's his alternative name. Well, that guy who likes to sit in a weird way on a chair and likes to eat a lot of dessert. That guy maybe can be in serious danger because Light Yagami has come back with his Death Note, and I guess he's always interested to. His biggest motivation is to destroy L. So I wonder what is going to be next. Yep, very interesting. I watched episode 25 of Death Note. Yeah, there was something very big happening this episode. So pretty much it was like L trying to find more information about the Death Note. And then Misa started killing people again because that's what Light asked her to do. And yep, there was the point of, the smart move by Light of making people assume that Misa is Kira. So obviously Ram, the Shinigami, wanted to save her. So that Shinigami sacrificed itself against killing Watari and finally L. So it's like, oh, okay. So that very important character is dead. But I think I'm very suspicious. I think he's coming back, like he's going to be resurrected or, rebirthed. I don't know how to say, like something weird. I'm very suspicious that, like, I don't think he's living just like that. There's going to be a way that he's coming back. But well, I don't know what else to say. It's just like, it just feels like weird that I'm still episode 25 and I think there's still like 13 episodes left. So I'm going to be like, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen in many episodes. So, yep, it's just that supposedly Light Yagami is finally going to be the new god of the world, I don't know. I don't like that idea. Hopefully there's going to be someone better than L or somebody stopping this. I watched episode 26 of Death Note. The first 14-15 minutes of the episode were the summary of all the first 25 episodes, so I'm just going to skip that. And then the rest of the episode was how the police team are like leaving the character of L. You know, that character L is going to be given to Light Yagami because Ryusuke died, obviously. And, well, also Watari, like who is like L's secret partner. Also, that character supposedly is going to be given to Light Yagami. So, yep, with that, now Light Yagami is becoming like the most powerful person of all time. He throughout the years he killed a lot of criminals. Now the entire world is like respecting Kira's desires. And it seems like like now people have to be nicer. People must be very nice and never become criminals, or else they are going to be killed by Kira. I mean, it's interesting that now literally Light Yagami is many, many, many characters at the same time. He's Light Yagami, obviously. He's Kira. He's Watari. He's L. And there at the end, in the last 30 seconds, there's like a big hint of somebody being informed that L died. So I think I think he's like a British guy. I don't. I'm sorry for my mistake, but I think if I remember correctly, Ryusuke he lived in England, and I think his grandfather lives in England. But I think this is a mistake of my memory. So I'm not surprised if somebody who is from Ryusuke's family is now going to chase Kira. But yeah. And I feel disappointed that I never remember correctly Ryusuke's name. I don't know if Ryusuke or Ryusaki. I always label him as L, because he was always L. I watched episode 27 of Death Note. Yep, this is a new phase of this anime. The first one was L and Light Yagami meeting each other, and then the second phase was L and Light Yagami working together. And this is the third phase, I mean, and this is life after L. So things are getting interesting. I think that things are going to be now more complicated because in this case, there's two guys who want especially one evil guy who wants the Death Note to be like the most powerful guy on the planet, and then there's another guy who simply wants to stop Kira. If I remember, Mello is the evil guy who wants to be powerful and have the Death Note, and N, if I remember correctly, N is the other person who wants to stop Kira, having the Death Note. If I remember correctly, Mello is a male and N is a female. So far, I'm not so sure, but yeah, I'm like, okay, there's like 10 episodes left, so yeah, I think things are going to get intense now that these are the last episodes. Yeah, it's something interesting is that supposedly they are going to Los Angeles, so I'm going to be very curious to see how it looks like in this anime. I don't know what else to say. Maybe it's just that I just want I just want to stop the deaths. It is too many deaths, too much violence. Too much suffering. But well, I wonder what is going to be next for all those characters. Oh yeah, and I forget to say that Light Yagami's younger sister, she's in danger now. She's kidnapped by Mello. I watched episode 28 of Death Note, and of course, things are getting complicated. Light Yagami and his father and everyone in the team of L, they have to give away the Death Note to Melo because, or else Soju, El's younger sister, she was going to be killed. So of course they didn't want that, and and that person is like, oh yeah, we are going to collaborate together, L, to in order to defeat Melo and also get Kira. But well, I'm I'm being very patient of what is going to be next in the last 10 episodes of this anime. I watched episode 29 of Death Note. Well, sadly, there was a battle in which Melo was going to be stopped, with the Death Note, but sadly, things didn't go right, and Light Yagami's father, he died at the end of the episode. So it's like, oh no, but also I'm like, well, I'm not surprised that somebody near Light Yagami died. I was thinking maybe the father, maybe the younger sister, maybe Misa, like with that dangerous lifestyle. I'm not surprised that one of the main characters in Death Note was going to die. I mean, the anime is titled Death Note, so I'm not surprised there is a lot of death. Um, yeah, but I'm sorry to be picky, complaining about this anime, but I just feel like it's being a little too long for my taste. Like, I think it should have ended like in episode number 30. Like, I'm very curious of what's the point at the end of Death Note. Is if it's going to show everything until Light Yagami died, or it's going to show everything until the entire planet Earth got destroyed. That's like the only question that I'm only caring for the ending of Death Note. But yeah, I'm not being convinced. Especially, I think I'm just finding way too unmotivated. Maybe that's the word, that Ryusaki is no longer there. So it's like, oh well, Ryusaki is no longer here, but we have the place where elves are created. Where Ryusaki was developed, and now Nier and Melo are being taken out, from that place. Like, it's just like, huh? I'm not convinced that that kind of stuff is happening. Well, I know that the main character of this anime is Light Yagami, so, well, in this case, that's the only thing that we should care. But as I told you, at the first 10, 15 episodes, 15 episodes, I would say, it was like becoming very, very good of, oh wow, now this is like, Light is becoming the smart move. Or no, now Ryusaki is the one making the genius move. Like, now here is more like, oh, it's a battle of survival of whoever is the craziest, most wildest, or most savage person is the one who's going to get away with everything. But well, let's see how this anime ends in less than 10 episodes. I watched episode 30 of Death Note. Well, things are getting, more conflictive, of course. So pretty much Mello and Nier talk to each other a little bit about they both want to get rid of Kira. Different intentions, but the same goal, getting rid of Kira. And then, it's Kira or Light Yagami, he's like, oh no, Nier now already has the question if, well, the assumption that if Kira and L are the same person, or Kira is in the team of L, the fake L. So yeah, things are becoming more complicated up to the point of Light Yagami, who's like, oh no, now we need to get rid of Nier by using threats against the president of the United States and calling Kira fans to attack the group that is dedicated to eliminate Kira. which involves Nier and some other guys. I think now finally I discovered that Nier's gender is male. I thought Nier is a she, but I think and Nier is actually a he, just like Ryusaki and Melo. Um, yeah, I'm just like getting a little bit of fatigue, or like I think this is becoming a little way too long, this anime. But well, I have like 7 episodes left. Hopefully things become to an epic ending. That's my only hope. I watched episode 31 of Death Note, and well, I mean, it's pretty much what I'm thinking things are going on. It's like, oh, Nier's about to get closer to getting Kira, but then Kira makes something very smart, and suddenly things for Nier or anyone that represents Ryusaki, the people against Kira, they are not so easy to get Kira. I mean, I think that with too many episodes happening, I think, in my humble opinion, more than they should be. It's like 37 in total. I think it should be like 30 or a little less. I think now I'm getting questions like, what about the other countries? What about, I don't know, the UK, China, uh, South Korea, North Korea, Japan. Well, Japan, USA, of course, they are in this Death Note anime. But what about the other super powerful countries? Brazil, Russia, Mexico. I don't know. Like, this is what happens when you give me a lot of Death Note content. Like, I think there's going to be plot holes, but well, I'm just like being way too picky about this anime. But yeah, I mean, I really like. Funny enough, I don't know why I'm very like have a strong prejudice with these characters that whenever they are introduced suddenly. But this new person who owns the Death Note, I forgot his name, but he's like Kira's number one fan. I'm like, okay, things can get very interesting with this man. Maybe he can betray Kira or something. He's going to love having the Death Note. But well, let's see what's going to happen. Watch episode 32 of Death Note. The first half of the episode was about the origin story of Teru Mikami. I think that's his name, the new owner of the Death Note. So I think it was very nice, Teru Mikami's childhood, who sadly experienced, well, especially in his teenage years, he suffered the loss of his mother, and then he also experienced bullying and very rebellious teenagers. But then, it's like, maybe, he's like, oh, that's why, Kira needed to exist, because we need justice and love and peace in the world, because else the world will be destroyed. Like, he had very, very strong belief and support for Kira. So of course he got the Death Note. And the second half of this episode was very much Light Yagami realizing that Kiyomi Takada, who used to be his girlfriend during college, uh, she's now the new spokesperson of Kira in the multimedia, in the media like TV. So now it's interesting that suddenly Light Yagami revealed himself to Takada's Kira, and also with that he also had to reveal himself to Teru. So now things are becoming more intense in some sense. So now what is going to happen, I don't know. I watched episode 33 of Death Note. Well, yeah. uh, it's like, well, Nier is getting closer and closer to have enough evidence that Light Yagami is Kira. Like, Nier already knows that Light Yagami is Kira, but it's like, yeah, still need to get enough evidence to get him arrested. Also, something interesting is that she mentioned that she's not going to kill uh, Kira Light Yagami and Kira, the other Kira, who's Teru, you know. But and it's interesting. I think this Nier is actually even more ethical and more appropriate than Ryusaki, because Ryusaki like to either to say torture, you know, for example, he tortured Misa, and then he spy. He put like secret cameras and microphones in Light Yagami's my room, private room. But now this Nier is more like, yeah, I need to be very, very clean of the way to stop all the Kiras in the world. You know, these two Kiras. But yeah, and also like I'm feeling a little bit frustrated with like the separation of things. And what I mean by this is that, you know, it's only one episode. It's only about Nier. You know, it's only one episode is about Light, and then suddenly you're missing out about other people. For example, in this case, I think Melo is like, what is he doing all this time? Like, what? Or Ryuk and all the other Shinigami people, you know, all the god of death, you know, all the other gods of death. And I'm like, what are those people doing? It's like they only are observing, I guess. But well, oh, and something I'm feeling like, I guess it had to happen. It's like now there's a love triangle between Misa and Takada. You know, the ex college girlfriend of Light Yagami. But yeah, uh, I think there's like 4 episodes left, so it's going to be like, I'm really having a little bit of hope that it's going to be like a really incredible anime ending, but I'm not surprised if I feel things are like, well, things went into some direction and I have to respect it. But well, let's see what's going to be next. We, I finished watching episode 34 of Death Note. Uh, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if my perception is working today, but I think this episode didn't happen too much things. Like, okay, it happened tiny things which maybe can mean a lot for the next episode, but it's just like I almost forget what happened in this episode. So that's what I'm feeling like. Pretty much Light Yagami and Takada, they met once again with the microphones, but with their without any cameras. So they were writing messages of what they wanted to do. And then like there's one near agent who is like getting closer and closer of finding more proofs that Teru Mikami is Kira. So, but yeah, I just feel like, wait, I don't think this episode was interesting to me. Sadly, I just feel like fatigue from this anime. Maybe that's what is happening to me. As I told you, I'm not the biggest fan of serious, TV shows. I'd rather to watch movies or, different things. But I'm not that much into drama series. Well, but well. So I'm going to be nice and just keep watching till the end of Death Note. I watched episode 35 of Death Note, and well, characters died. So it was a very suspicious thing, but well, not so suspicious. The Mellow and his team was able to kidnap Takada, who is the voice of Kira. But of course, I'm like suspicious in the sense of Mellow. I don't know why he wanted to kidnap Takada if it was like almost obvious that it was going to be very dangerous for him. The, but well, he did that, and then Takada was able to write Melo's real name in a tiny piece of paper of a death note. And then, sadly, Light Yagami, also known as Kira, he wrote the name of Takada in his death note. So, yeah, she died. And she died hiding maybe enough evidence for being an innocent of Kira's team. But now I feel like a little bit relieved that Melo is not going to be involved in the last two episodes, because I'm like, he's like the third annoying person in the triangle of people who wants to get the death note or get rid of the death note. Now, finally, I guess it's only going to be the battle between Nier and Light Yagami, so I'm getting a little bit excited for that. Watch episode 36 of Death Note. Well, pretty much is Nier team and Kira team or L team. They are going to meet in a very specific place, and then they met at that place, and suddenly there was this Teru who was going to suddenly appear, write the name of the people except Kira. And then, whoa, cliffhanger, what's going to be next? So let's watch the last episode. Yeah, I guess this episode was fine, but yep, it's pretty much like useless if I need to watch the other. Well, not useless, but it's just pretty much building the tension and building the drama that it's going to explode in the final episode of Death Note. So, yep, without any doubt, I'm going to watch the final episode in a few seconds without wasting any more time. Let's see what's going to happen. I watched episode 37 of Death Note, also known as the last episode or the final episode of Death Note. And yep, pretty much what happened is that Kira thought he got away with the final trick with the help of ex-Kira or Teru Mikami, but suddenly Nier and his team, they explained that they did like a secret trick, and the point is that Nier and his team, anti-Kira team, they finally won, and Kira is about to get arrested, but Kira's like, no, I don't want this to happen, no, and he tries to kill people with his tiny little secret page, but he gets shot and then he runs away. But yeah, of course, Ryuk, the Shinigami, he's like, yeah, you're very injured, and I was going to the one who's going to write your death. So that happened, and Kira died, Light Yagami died. But yeah, well, I don't know if it's a happy ending or a sad ending. I only know that it's an ending, and that's enough. Yeah, I'm like, I was thinking the ending was going to be way more epic, to be honest, but it just, well, I always had the sensation, sorry, since the beginning that Light Yagami was going to die at the end. Like, yeah, with everything, every dangerous and risky thing that he was doing in his daily life, it was like pretty obvious that he was going to die sooner or later. And yeah, and also the biggest problem I think with Light Yagami is that he had a lot of pride and ego. Maybe he was really like, oh, I'm going to be only doing it because of the love of justice or eliminating the criminals and all the violence and crime. He would have been way much more secret and discreet. That's what I thought always since the first episodes. Yeah, I think it was like something maybe disappointing for me was that Ryusaki, he had to die like in episode 24, 25, something. I don't remember. I was really thinking maybe he could last until the end. But no, it was like Ryusaki died, and then guess what? Ryusaki comes from a place where people are like him, very talented and excellent detective. So I was like, yep, this is a very bad sign of Kira not really surviving for very long time. Um, because more people from that place where Yurosaki came from were coming to chase Kira. So yeah, I was like, yeah, even if Nier Mello wouldn't survive, I was pretty sure that other people would have come to replace Nier Mello, and then those people will be replaced by other people. Like it's just like I just find it funny that it's more like a battle of who's most obsessed with what. Like, okay, Kira was obsessed with becoming the king and the god of the world and getting rid of all the criminals, but sometimes he will. I think he, at least once, he killed innocent people. I'm almost sure, but right now I don't remember. And also, well, now there's the anti-Kira team, which was Ryusaki, Nier, and they were like, oh no, we need to do everything possible to stop Kira, even if sometimes we might get into tricky, unethical stuff like kidnapping or detaining without any justification things or spying without enough permits. Like, I don't know, it's just like a cat and mouse game. Yeah. Um, in general terms, it's like about this anime Death Note. It's just like it's a very good concept that one of there's this death note which you can write people and then they die. It's like I can see why people are really like that concept. Like well, this is a very maybe controversial thing, but I feel like this anime could have been done a little better. Like because sometimes I felt there were too many characters and sometimes I felt there were many changes. Maybe since the beginning, if it was very clear that it was going to have too many changes, maybe I would have been like, okay. I don't know, but I'm just like very demanding or picky about it. Like I'm not surprised. What I want to say is I'm not surprised if in the future there's like a reboot or a remake, and it's way much better than this. That's what I want to say. But sadly, Netflix tried to make a very horrible adaptation. I want to think that maybe in the future somebody else is going to make something good with Death Note, even better than the original anime. Thank you for listening all this babbling and crazy talking that I did.